again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Daily December 2019. This is day 23, and I have like a hair or something is driving me nuts. Sorry. This is day 23, and I'm almost caught up. Today, I want to talk about one of the coolest things I ever purchased for D&D. But back in fourth edition, which you guys reacted so positively to when I started showing off fourth edition character sheets, they had the last official module released by Wizards of the Coast was this module called the Madness of Gardmore Abbey. And what it was about was there's this place called Gardmore Abbey, surprisingly enough. And sometime like 100 years or something before the player characters get there, there was an attack on the abbey itself, which was guarded by elves, and was attacked by orcs. And one of the things that was there was this. This is my own personal deck of many things. And the whole plot was I can't remember all of it, but they collected the cards of the deck of many things, and then when it looked like they were about to just be screwed, they pulled a card from the deck of many things, which just so happened to be the ruin card, which causes lots of bad stuff to happen, or at least it did in fourth edition. I have to actually look to see if it might not have been the ruin card, because all the ruin card does is it makes everything you own turn to dust. But it was a bad card that they drew. And it destroyed everybody there. It turned the abbey into ruins almost instantly, and nobody went back for, like I said, over 100 years or something. The player characters get there to try and figure out what it was that caused Gardmore Abbey to fall, and they eventually find out is the deck of many things, and they try to collect all the cards because there are two other factions there that are trying to get their hands on the cards. One is actually a rival group of adventurers, and the others are just the antagonists that I can't remember who they are. I still have the whole module somewhere. I have to find it again. But I still have it. And the module itself came with a bunch of battle maps. It came with the actual adventure, some cards for weapons or magic items that were found in there, and it came with this. This is actually a 22 card deck of many things. With the deck of many things, there's actually two different versions that exist. About 75% of the decks of many things you'll find in the wild only have 13 cards. but the full deck has 22. Um, and I'll show you a couple here. Like this is the balance card and the ruin card. The artwork is amazing, and it's an actual deck. Now in the fifth edition Dungeon Masters guide, they do have a kind of guide on how to use just a regular playing deck in place of a deck of many things if you want to add it to your adventure. But just having the actual deck is really cool. And those of you that watch Critical Role, you'll know that in the first campaigns, slight spoilers, they did find a deck of many things, and actually played somewhat of a role in some of the events that happened to them. So me personally, I love the idea of the deck of many things, because the deck itself is technically a sentient magic item to a point. It is an agent of chaos, and its entire purpose is to create chaos, to break things, basically. And so the deck itself has both positive and negative results when you pull a card. And the deck itself wants to be put together and wants people to draw cards because it creates more chaos. Now, in the fourth edition module, the Madness of Gardmore Abbey, what would happen is throughout the Abbey, you would find single cards. And what would happen is anytime you got into an encounter, you would put those cards, they were little tokens for each card. That was another thing it came with, was a bunch of tokens for your maps. There were tokens for each card, and you would put those on the field in random places. And what would happen if your character was adjacent to a space with a card, or in the card's space, I can't remember, each card had a special power you could use. Now, there was normally only like a couple cards on the field at any given time. So as the player characters got more cards, you would just deal random cards to the field. And the other adventuring party also had their own cards that they were collecting. So when you got into combat, not only would you have cards that you could use that would give you really interesting abilities, but you would also have the enemy party, which you fought multiple times in general. Like they would fight, and then you would both retreat and fight again. There was a beholder there. There was a red dragon in there. Like it was such a cool adventure, and the card mechanic was one of the coolest ways to just add a bit more randomness to the game, and just add that combination of RNG and strategy of knowing when to use cards, when not to use cards. And at the end of the adventure, if the party got the deck of many things together, they could choose whether they wanted to draw a card or not. So that's actually what I'd like to do here, is just for fun. Let's draw a card and see what happens. Now I'm gonna draw 3 cards just so we get a little bit of a variety. But these are some of the things that can happen when you draw a card from the deck of many things in 5th edition. Again, in 4th edition, I think it was slightly different, but not really. So first card is the Throne card, which you gain proficiency in the persuasion skill, and you double your proficiency bonus on checks made with that skill. Kind of useful. In addition, you gain rightful ownership of a small keep somewhere in the world. However, the keep is currently in the hands of monsters, which you must clear out before you can claim the keep as your own. So right there, that kind of shows you how interesting the deck of many things can make a campaign. Quite literally, you can start a campaign based on the idea that your characters are going to have to find the deck of many things in pieces, have them seek out all the different cards, and once they get them all together, call that the halfway point of the campaign. Have them draw a couple cards and base the rest of the campaign off that. With the Throne card, that would obviously lead to them having to, first of all, figure out where the keep is. You can add other aspects to it, like having to first find the keep, then find a way to get to the keep, because it could be in some sequestered off place. It could be surrounded by enemies. Third, you have to get the keep itself. And then after you have your keep and everything, you can continue the campaign in a number of ways. Like, well, now that you're a landowner, now you have to deal with the local feudal system, or the keep itself is situated on top of an Undermountain style dungeon, and you have to go to the bottom to fully claim the keep. You have to go to the bottom and close whatever is letting monsters in. Or after you save the keep, which is now rightly yours, the former owners of the keep appear to you as ghosts, and you have to avenge what happened to them. Or they actually are like elves or some other long-lived race, and they actually come and try to claim ownership over the keep itself, even though you rightfully own it now due to magic, and you have to deal with that situation. As you can see, just one card can do a lot of stuff. So, second card is the Moon card. The Moon card, you are granted the ability to cast the Wish spell 1d3 times. That's a big deal. Wish spells will break your game. That's what they're designed to do. And in the player's handbook, under the description of the Wish spell, it specifically tells the dungeon masters however they word the Wish spell should be taken as the least favorable version of that wording you can make. It's done that way intentionally because the Wish spell, because it can rewrite reality, is very easy to be abused. So the cost for it has to be really high, not just for the characters, but for the players themselves. Because of how powerful the spell is, they should worry about casting it, to be blunt. So having up to 3 in your campaign. Again, wish spell can do anything from just copy any spell of 8th level or lower, uh, or you get to word a wish and the DM interprets it. So if all they do is copy, 3 8th level spells or something, it's not that big a deal. So you don't really have to worry about it. But it's the wish aspect that gets challenging. And it can lead to interesting encounters. Like if they say, I want to be the richest person in the world, it sounds like a pretty simple wish. However, if the way that wish is granted is instead of giving you all this money, it simply gets rid of any money of any person that has more money than you, you now have a massive wave of poverty that you have to deal with, and you are the only person that has a lot of wealth. So you have now just become a target for the world. Depending on how it worked, maybe all the gold in the kingdom except for yours turned to lead, so it's practically worthless. Maybe all the gold itself, or maybe all the people with wealth became overcome with this disgust for it, and they threw it all away into the ocean or something like that. And as soon as they could come to their senses, now they have no money and can't figure out why. There's a lot of different ways you could do it, and make for a really interesting campaign. And that's just one wish. And that's kind of how you should think of the wish spell. The wish spell is not a good spell. It is a spell that causes mass casualties a lot more often than it causes good things. So anytime your players phrase a thing, think about a different way to implement it. You'll know what they want. Do everything you can to give them what the wish spell describes, but at a cost. So one more card pull. It is the Vizier card. The Vizier, at any time you choose within 1 year of drawing this card, you can ask a question in meditation and mentally receive a truthful answer to that question. Besides information, the answer helps you solve a puzzling problem or other dilemma. In other words, the knowledge comes with wisdom on how to apply it. So that's one of the positive cards you can get. And even that can be a really interesting campaign motivation, where you now have the perfect answer to any one question. And you have a year to decide on it. That makes you an incredibly powerful person in the world. I'm a big fan of politics in the D&D games, driving the plot. All kingdoms or countries are going to have motivations, both positive and negative. And all governments are going to try and make change. That's kind of their purpose. And so when a small group of individuals gains an enormous amount of power, the people that held power before, the governments and the things like that, are going to take notice and are going to basically pass judgment on whether they think they can allow someone like that to have that much power, or if they're going to try and find a way to rein in that power. Um, the Superhuman Registration Act from Marvel Comics is a beautiful example of that, both in the comics version and the movie version. You basically, for like 40 or 50 years at that point, you have all these superheroes showing up, basically doing whatever they want, destroying cities as they try to protect them. And the governments of the world got together and said, "Hey, these guys have too much power. We should have that power, and try to find ways to rein them in." And so, with this wisdom question, you now have the perfect answer to a single question. Any government in the world would kill for that kind of power. Because look at some of the problems that are facing us right now. I mean, there's always things like poverty, hunger, wars, natural disasters like the fires in Australia and California. Imagine if the question you asked was something like, how can I stop the fires in Australia? Because again, the idea of this vizier is not only do you get the knowledge, you also get the practical application of that knowledge. So you could literally solve that problem and make sure it never happens again. Which, with our own technology and everything, is impossible. It's just not something that we can do. And that's the point of the card, is to give you this knowledge that is so far beyond human understanding that it's incredibly wealthy. And a lot of players will think about this as, oh, I can use this to solve a puzzle that the DM gives me, or I can use this to get one piece of information that I really need for whatever. And that's the thinking kind of small. They can solve world problems on their own. Now, just because you know the solution does not mean that you can implement this solution, because that generally will take people working together, which always will cause issues with just about anybody. Yeah, like I said, I love the deck of many things. I know a lot of DMs don't like it because it derails campaigns. And if you do have a storyline written for your campaign, this will end it really quickly. Which annoys some DMs because there's a lot of work that goes into building a campaign. But if you treat the deck of many things the way it should be treated, which is as an aid to creating interesting stories, and that there really isn't a huge downside to it, other than you're going to have to rewrite everything you've done at that point. Anyway, that's all for me for this one. Like I said, I'm slowly but surely getting these all together. I have two more videos. I have 24th, and then the 25th is going to be my Christmas haul. I just show you guys what I got for Christmas. Yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to record them right after this, and then put them up, and we'll see. Otherwise, that's all for me, Lynn. I'll see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.